What's up everybody, it's Andy here and welcome to a new type of video this week, a Q&A based on Game Week 4. So I know a lot of people are watching the live streams and either I don't get to their question or they feel that I should do pre-submitted questions, and while I don't necessarily want to do that for the live stream because I like answering stuff live, I thought what better way than to try a Q&A this week. I've taken questions from Twitter. I'm going to go through about 10 questions I think I've got lined up for today. Just going to go through them one by one, let you know who asked it. I've got a screenshot of the tweet itself. We'll just go through those questions. We'll see how this works. If people enjoy this video, let me know in the comments below, and maybe we can do another one for Game Week 5 and keep it rolling throughout all the game weeks. So, no further intro at this point. We're just going to jump straight into it and start answering the first question. So, first question is from Salah, and he asks, how long do I usually keep faith with the player? Now, I don't want to just say it depends for all these questions, but it would depend on the player in question, who I'm bringing in, who I'm getting rid of, what their value is, etc. So, as an example, Kane hasn't scored for 3 games. Now, I usually say about 3 to 4 games is where I start to lose real faith in the player. You know, Gabbiadini, maybe it happens a bit quicker. With Kane, I think the goals are coming, so I'm happy to keep him. He's got nice fixtures. I'm not going to give him too many more games before I really start to get rid of it, or start to think about getting rid of him. Someone like Atsu, for example, he's a bit cheaper, so I'm not expecting so many returns from him. So he's got 1 return in 3 games. If he goes another 3 games without getting anything, I won't mind too much. But give it another couple, and then I'll really start to think about getting rid of him. But it'll also depend who you're kind of bringing in and what their value is. So as an example, last year, I can't remember who I got rid of, but it was a defender I hadn't had in that long. And Alonso was like 5.8 or 5.9 million, obviously super attacking. We all know what he did last year. And I thought I absolutely need him for that kind of price. So I actually brought him in for the defender I only had a few weeks. So I lost faith, but it wasn't necessarily that I lost faith in that player. I had a lot of faith in the player I was bringing in. So as a general rule, big hitters, I only like to give maybe 3 to 4 games. But you've got to take into account kind of how much they are, what the option is to bring in. So, yes, Kane's not doing the business, but who do I really want to bring in for him? Maybe Firmino, maybe Morata, but I'd be happy seeing a bit more from them first. I'm not in a rush to get rid of Kane. So, 3 to 4 game weeks. Take a look at their price, who you can bring in. And, you know, sometimes you just have to have a bit of faith because you've got other transfers to make. So, to answer your question, 3 to 4 weeks, but there's a lot of circumstances where that might change. So next up we have a question from Dot, whose Twitter handle is @dead_B_D. And they ask, is it worth taking out LACAZETTE for a 4-point hit from Morata? Now, I've kept this in because I think there's probably a few people out there with LACAZETTE. Now, I can see why Morata is someone that people want to get in. He's done really well in the first few fixtures. Well, he's probably been not actually up to full fitness, so he's kind of getting that as he plays. Also, Hazard's back now. He's just played 90 minutes in the international break. You'd expect him to improve Chelsea. So I think the points from Morata could still be coming, but he has scored 2 goals from about 3 shots on target, I think. So he's maybe been slightly lucky, but he does look a really good player. Now, would I take him out from LACAZETTE? I don't think I would, even without the hit. So for a hit, I'm even more kind of inclined to say no. Obviously, LACAZETTE got benched last week, so I can see why you'd be eager to get rid of him. But surely, at this point, Wenger's realised his mistake and he's going to start him against Bournemouth. Now, after that, they got Chelsea away, not ideal. But then they got 2 really nice home fixtures. So in the next 4 fixtures, they got 3 really nice ones at home. I think they're going to do well in these. I think LACAZETTE could do well. Fair enough, I wouldn't necessarily be bringing LACAZETTE in, but if you've already got him, I think you keep him. You could even captain if you want to take a bit of a risk / differential captain pick this week. But ultimately, I think you keep LACAZETTE for now. Yes, Morata's a nice option, but I don't think you go for him, especially for a 4-point hit. So keep LACAZETTE. If he doesn't start, then fair enough, it's Chelsea away next. Then you might want to get rid and just ignore the fact he has nice fixtures. If he's not going to start, he's not needed. But for now, I would keep him. I don't think I'd take that hit. So next question comes from Henry Oakland, who asks, who is the most likely to be rotated in the Liverpool front 3 now? I really think this is a tough question to answer. I think ultimately, especially over Champions League, we're probably going to see all of them rotated. As long as someone like Sturridge stays fit, then he can obviously take the place of Firmino up front. We've already seen Salah get a rest, so maybe there's 2 ways of looking at it. You might think that Salah's either going to keep getting the rest, maybe, or that he's had his, so he won't get the next one, and maybe Mane and Firmino will. My money, if I had to bet, would be that Mane would get the most minutes. I think he's the one that's most crucial to Liverpool. But Salah can also do the kind of similar job on the other side of the pitch. He's stretching defences. He's got the pace. So I think Klopp's going to want to start most games with them. So I wouldn't pick any of their players based on who you think is going to start the most. You can take a guess, but no one really knows at this stage. I think it'd probably be Mane, but you know, I could be wrong, just like anyone else could be. So for me, pick the player who you think is going to score the most. I think Firmino looks really good as a striker option. 8.6 million he is now. And at that kind of price, he seems to be the best. And there's lots of players cheaper than that who I just don't think can do the business as well as he can. I like Salah versus Mane, taking out rotation potential. For 0.6 million less, I think he's got just as good a goal threat. And he's already been able to get the points. So I think he can keep that up. So for me, Salah in midfield, obviously Firmino up front. A double up is something I'm looking at. As for rotation, it's a really hard one to call. Maybe Mane will get the most minutes, but we'll have to wait and see over the next few weeks to see how that happens once Champions League starts. Next up, we have another Arsenal question. Obviously, Arsenal aren't looking in a good spot right now, so people are a bit worried about owning their assets. This question comes from, and excuse me if I absolutely butcher the name, but Matthew Lewis, who asked, what about Kolasinac? Now, Oxlade-Chamberlain's not there, and he's at Liverpool. Will he take up that left wing-back role? So, straight away, you've got to think he will. You think that he would take the left wing-back role, Bellerin would take the right. I think Kolasinac has looked okay in the games he's played, but it is a key point that he's not played every game, when we all thought he would after he came in over the summer. I think he's now a pretty good option. Would I be buying him? No. If I had him, though, I would definitely keep. Similar to Lacazette, I think they've got Bournemouth at home next. If he starts that game, I think you're looking good. Chelsea away, not great. Then another 2 nice home fixtures to come. So I would be keeping him. I'm actually looking potentially, if I can get the money together, to bring him in game week 4, 5, 6. So after the Chelsea game, I want to see, you know, as a non-owner right now, I want to see over the next couple of weeks how he does and whether he starts. If you've got him, though, I would keep him. I think with Ox out, it kind of paves the way for him to play. It doesn't mean that now that Bellerin will be on the left and Ox will be on the right, because obviously Ox isn't there. So Bellerin's now going to start on the right, you'd assume, and Kolasinac will start on the left. So obviously we'll have to wait and see, but my advice is if you own him, keep him. If you don't own him, I'd be a bit more wary, and I'd probably wait until kind of the game week 6 mark before you bring him in. So Chris Burrow FPL asks, what are my views on Morata as an alternative to Kane and Lukaku? Now, I think longer term, yes, Morata's a good option. So obviously it depends on the structure of your team, but when I look at my own team, if I get rid of one of Kane or Lukaku, I can bring in Firmino, and I can also get Morata instead of Gabbiadini. So I think Firmino and Morata are a better combination than Gabbiadini and Lukaku or Kane. Now, I've spoken about this a bit before. I even wrote quite a big tweet on this about how at 11.5 million, I know obviously Lukaku's gone up a bit now, and 12.5 million for Kane, they've really got to prove their value at that kind of price. Right now, I'm happy to have both. I think I'm not quite comfortable with getting rid of one of them for Morata. Obviously, Kane's got the fixtures, Lukaku's got the ownership. I want to see how Lukaku does in the next couple of games, see if he's actually going to be completely fixture-proof. I've got a feeling he will be. But eventually, I think I've got to get rid of one of them. And if I do, Morata's someone that's going to come in. The beauty of already having Kane and Lukaku is I can keep them, and I can see how Morata performs when Hazard comes in the team. There's obviously, Hazard's a great player. He's either going to come in and nick all the points for himself, or for someone, kind of when I watched him last season, he didn't really like to shoot too much. He was always looking to set up the goals, which could be a great great thing to have for Morata. So, view right now is, if you've got Kane and Lukaku, I think you keep. If you're on a wild card, it becomes a much trickier question. I think at that point, you kind of have to decide if you want to get rid of one of them. But for now, I'm going to keep Lukaku and Kane, but Morata is definitely on my radar. And I think the fact that he's 1.5, 2.5 million cheaper nearly, goes a long way to improving the rest of your team. And if you're happy captaining one of those two, and when I say one of those two, I mean Kane or Lukaku, every week, with maybe the odd captain here or there elsewhere, then I think you can get rid of one of them and be on a pretty good thing with that money to spread around your side. Again, apologies for the pronunciation, but Varun Bansal asks, which is a better option in goal, Foster or Fabianski? Now, I have Foster in goal. They've obviously both kept 2 clean sheets so far in the first 3 fixtures. But if I was on a wild card right now, if I had an absolute luxury to make a goalkeeper transfer, I think I'd bring Fabianski in. Now, obviously, like I said, they've both kept 2 clean sheets. Swansea have potentially been quite lucky to not concede more goals right now. But obviously, the first two of the first 3 were away. They're the ones they kept the clean sheet in, Crystal Palace and Southampton. And then the other game was when they got battered against Man United. Fair enough, Man United superior opposition. But I think with their fixtures coming up, I think they've got people like Watford, Newcastle, and Huddersfield at home in like the next 4 to 5 fixtures. I think there's clean sheets there for Swansea. They're looking pretty good. They've obviously got Renato Sanchez in the side now. Now, he's not a defensive midfielder, but box to box, he should be able to hopefully get a few more interceptions, tackles, things like that, and maybe just control the midfield a bit better. Obviously, they're playing 3 at the back right now, Southampton, so hopefully that'll go well for them too. But I would probably go for Fabianski, but if I had Foster, and I do, I wouldn't be panicking too much. But definitely, if you're on a wild card, I would make the switch, I think, with the fixtures that Swansea have got. Craig Priestley asks, it takes people a lot of time to get used to a new idea, but what do I think about 5-2-3 and what would my lineup look like? Now, I haven't put my lineup here. I haven't gone into that much detail. But defender-wise, you're going to be looking at attacking players like Alonso, Bertrand. Probably want Phil Jones in there for value. Maybe Kolasinac because of the fixtures if he gets his place back in the side and consistently starts. In general, though, I'm not a fan of 5-2-3. Now, there was a tweet before this where Craig basically told me that he'd made up a 5-2-3 team that if you'd played it from the start, you'd be on about 250 points, and that's fair enough. You probably would have been. But I wonder longer term into the season if that will continue. And obviously, that's with the hindsight of picking your team to get the most points. I'm sure if you did that for 3-5-2 and 3-4-3, you could probably get quite close, especially if you nail the captain. The problem I have with 5-2-3 is it's very inflexible. Because you want those more expensive defenders, you're spreading your money more thinly through the team. So right now, for example, if I want to get rid of Lukaku for a different striker, say Firmino, then suddenly that frees up a huge amount of cash where I can upgrade a defender, I can upgrade a midfielder in one go and get a big hitter in who's maybe performing well. If I have money stretched across the defence, you've got to make more transfers to get that money into other parts of the pitch. And chances are, if there's attackers that are going to do the business week in, week out, then you're going to want them in. I think going 5-2-3 is a bit of a stretch. I don't even really like 4-4-2 or 4-3-3. But at least you're kind of one step closer to getting back to those attackers if you need to. And when I say that, I mean getting the funds to increase the attacker, kind of the value of the attackers that you've got. So 5-2-3 is not for me. Fair enough if anyone's playing it and it's doing well. I'd love to see, if you're playing 5-2-3, how it does all the way to the end of the season. But ultimately, I think people play 3-4-3 for the majority of the time for a good reason. Obviously, 3-5-2 was really good last year, and I'm not saying that 3-4-3 is the formation to stick to the whole season. I just don't think 5-2-3 is for me. I'm not, I'm not envisioning that it's going to be the one that we're all going to suddenly switch to. And even if it does work out well, it'd be hard to kind of switch all your funds around from where we are right now. So Jamie T asks, if you're on a wild card, is it a good idea to structure your picks around 3 to 4 captain kind of potential? So 3 to 4 players that you'd be happy captaining a week to week for the next 5 to 6 game weeks. So first of all, definitely look at the kind of next 5 to 6 game weeks. Obviously, you're using your wild card for the long term, but you will have transfers to make along the way. So about 5 to 6 weeks is pretty good for me. That's what I did with my game week 1 team. So obviously we're coming up to game week 4 now, so there's probably a few players I need to start thinking about switching around. As for captain picks, I don't think you need to focus on 3 to 4. Especially if you're having to spend huge money on all of them, because that's going to really hurt the rest of your team. There's probably going to be like 1 to 2 players that you mainly want to captain. So in my team right now, I'm kind of switching between Kane and Lukaku. Now, obviously, there might be a time when I want to captain Salah, someone like that, maybe Eriksen or Mkhitaryan, but generally I'm going to captain one of those two, and I don't feel like I need another kind of 1 or 2 picks on top of that. You can only captain 1 player each week. So if you check the fixtures and you've got a couple of big hitters that you're happy to captain over the next 6 weeks, then maybe spread that money around a little bit. So as an example right now, I could have Sanchez as well as Kane and Lukaku, but that would be taking up a massive amount of my budget. And out of those 3 players, I can only captain 1 of them each week. I'd rather have someone like Mane and Eriksen and Mkhitaryan who are a bit cheaper and provide really good value. Yes, I'm probably not going to captain them, but that doesn't matter because, like I say, you can only pick 1 a week. So no, I don't think you should do 3 to 4 captain picks necessarily. Obviously, if it comes down the line and you want to captain one of the players you got outside of the main 2, then fair enough. But as my usual judgment call on that would be 1 to 2 captains is more than enough, and then spread the money around in your team. And yeah, 5 to 6 game weeks is a good kind of period to look over because you'll have transfers down the way to make changes as you wish. FPL Mediocrity asked me, which is preferable, to work on your wild card after a half bottle of whiskey or before? Now, if I had half bottle of whiskey, I'd be hard pressed to even log into my team, let alone make any changes on a wild card. I have been known, in the past, after a couple of drinks to make a decision. Sometimes it helps you, especially if it's like a split decision. But obviously, drink responsibly and only if you're over the age in the country you're in. But half a bottle of whiskey, not for me. I'd be on the floor. So last question of this Q&A is from Craig at Chelsea Fan, and a bunch of numbers in his Twitter handle. You can see it on screen if you want to follow him. Would you triple up on United, Spurs or Liverpool attack? So as a general rule, I don't particularly like tripling up on a team unless it's a double game week where they've got really nice fixtures that I want to absolutely nail with their kind of attackers. Out of these 3, I would probably go down the Liverpool route. I think they're probably going to score the most goals out of these 3 teams, especially over kind of the next few fixtures. I know Spurs have got pretty decent fixtures, but we're yet to see them kind of properly fire. They've got some nice home fixtures, but obviously their home pitch is Wembley so at the moment. So let's see how that goes. So if I was going to triple on any, it'd be Liverpool. I think Man United offer a really good defensive option in Phil Jones, Daley Blind. So you probably don't want to tie up all your assets in attack. Spurs, you could go Kane, Ali and Eriksen. That'd be a good option. It worked well for people last year. But again, they've got players like Ben Davies in defence, so you might want to look at. Liverpool, you probably don't want to touch their defenders too much at the moment, although Moreno at 4.5 could be a nice option if he keeps that left-back spot, or Robertson if he comes in at 4.9. But yeah, I would kind of steer clear of putting all my eggs in one basket. You need them to score a lot of goals every game, and while I think Liverpool will score quite a few goals, I don't think it's going to be enough to warrant a triple up. So if I absolutely have to pick, and you are asking me, to be fair, it'll be Liverpool, but generally I'd stick to probably 2 attackers from most of those sides for the time being. So that's it for today's video. Thanks as always for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this. Do you like the idea of Q&A? Did I do too many questions? Not enough? Were the answers too long? Were they just right? It'd be really good to know. Obviously, this is a new format for me, so I'd like to know what you guys think. If it is something that people like, obviously give it a thumbs up, and I'll try and do one for the coming game weeks. Again, just for those kind of questions that I can't get to in the live stream, although maybe I don't have a chance to answer kind of in a longer format. So yeah, comment below what you think of my answers. Did you think I could have answered something better? Make sure to leave it a like, and obviously subscribe if you are new around here. That'll let you know when the next video is coming out, and also when I go live for the live streams that I do. So the next live stream will be on Thursday. If you haven't seen one of those before, basically I live stream, answer your FPL questions. I just take questions from the chat. There's nothing pre-submitted, and we just kind of go with the flow, so to speak. Yeah, I'm going to leave that here. Like I said, like, comment, share, all that good stuff, and I will catch you next time. Cheers all.